Hi, it's so good to see you. Yeah, I can't believe it's been 7 years. Yeah, I'm sorry we have to do this through FaceTime, but I am so busy this week with appointments that this was the only way I can see you. But next time, I promise we'll be able to see each other in person for sure. Yeah, so let's get into it a little bit. The last time I saw you was 7 years ago, and we were talking about, planning the wedding. You were kind of newly engaged. So, what happened? Because I'm assuming that this is yeah, I saw the picture. So, either he had a complete transformation or this is someone new. Someone new, okay. He cheated on you? Well, his loss, and you are older and wiser now, right? hmm So, tell me a little bit about your fiance. hmm Okay. So it's not a ton of family. Uh, huh. Okay. hmm Okay, let me just actually write that down real quick. But you can keep talking. I'm gonna listen and just write down what you're saying. Okay. So he sounds fantastic. Uh, why don't we talk a little bit about your vision for this wedding? Yeah, so you know what? Let me tell you what's trending right now, and then you can let me know if any of this sounds good. So, last time, I know you were talking about like pastel blues and creams, I think it was. Yeah. hmm So, what uh, month are we thinking of? Spring. Okay. So, I'm going to tell you the colors or what's trending right now, and then you can let me know what is sounding good with you. Okay, so lately, what I've been doing with a lot of my clients is warm neutrals, earth tones, like bold colors with some jewel accents, soft pastels, more nature like greens and creams, and then some of my brides have also been doing like monochrome, metallic, so like either pops of gold or pops of silver. So, do any of those sound like something that you're envisioning? Okay. So, we like the warm neutrals and we like the green neutral and the jewel tones. Okay. So, that now we've got your top three. We'll be able to narrow it down the more we talk about other elements. So, styles of weddings, venues. So, spring, you're looking at a beautiful time. So, are we thinking something outdoors, indoors? Ceremony. Sorry, give me a second. So, ceremony outdoors and reception, you're open to keeping it outside or inside. Okay, so the only thing is if we do spring and you choose to keep it outdoors, we will have to have some type of tent prepared just because around that time the weather is kind of wishy-washy. It can rain, it cannot rain. So we'd like to just be prepared for either just so that the day of you're not worried. So just keep that in mind. With that being said, we are seeing more nature, wellness type settings. We're also seeing a lot more smaller, intimate spaces, but that'll kind of depend on your guest count, which we'll get into next. We're seeing a lot of woodwork, dramatic drapery, candles, flowers, gardens, botanical gardens. So, and another thing to keep in mind is if you are doing outdoors, that there is noise ordinances, so you'll have to keep that in mind, because when you are in a space, if there's a lot of things nearby, houses, other buildings, businesses, you will have a time set for, or a time limit on when the wedding needs to end. So it just depends on what city we go with, and I'll call and ask about that. But what are we thinking? Okay, so either no to the botanical gardens. Okay, and so you like the earthy wellness, outside nature centered. Yeah, I have a few spaces like that I work with, but I also know of a couple places, because you like the woodwork, but you can do without it. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, I have quite a few venues like that, so you're gonna have a lot of options. Guest count, because I remember. Oh, okay. So yeah, I feel like a lot when you're a lot older, you're not as concerned as having such a large wedding. You want to keep it more intimate and focus on the love, right? Yeah. Okay. So 100 to 125 people tops. I think that gives me a lot of options for a location for you. As long as we don't go above 125, I can definitely fit you in a more nature type place, just because a lot of the venues I see, like, that have those elements, they like it, they don't have as much space for like larger families, right? Okay, so we said nature. Now, decor. I mentioned a little bit about the drapery, candles, flowers. That's what we're seeing a lot. We're seeing a lot more circular, curved tables. So not as much as like before. We were having like a lot of the large wood farmhouse tables back then, right? Now, people are doing more with shapes and just kind of putting a more like unique spin on a lot of things, right? Open to that. Okay, but you do want flowers and then drapery, and we don't have to overdo it either. Whether we go with real flowers or synthetic flowers is going to play a huge role in the cost, right? Okay. Candles. Do you want real candles? Do you want just fake candles? Real. Yeah, so as long as you have what are they called? I already forgot their name. They're not storm glasses. I'll have to go back and find the actual name, but as long as you have the protective glasses that are made for longer use, then you don't have to worry about anyone getting hurt or anything tipping over. For my wedding and weddings that I've done, I was able to have candelabras with the protective glass around it, and for the whole wedding, and there was never any issues. So we have a lot of experience with that, and that's not something that you'll have to really worry about. Okay. We got guest list. Have you bought your wedding dress yet? No, you're gonna look. Okay, so these are the top 5 wedding dress styles that are in for this year and next. We're seeing a lot of the structured tops, corsets, We're also seeing very sleek and minimalistic gowns, not a lot of detail on it, which I think is something very classy and timeless. We're seeing a lot of more regal feel. So I don't think from what you've been sharing with me that you're going to go for a ball gown. Yeah. Okay. We're seeing a lot of ethereal, flowy gowns, and also just a throwback to very traditional, simple A-line gowns. No to the A-line. Okay. So I think the three which we have is the sleek minimalistic, the structured bodice or corset, and the ethereal flowy gowns. Those are going to go with everything that we've been talking about so far. So as long as I feel like you stay around that arena, then again, venue and decor is all going to be able to blend smoothly together. Do you have any ideas for food? Because something to keep in mind is if we do choose a more all-in-one location, most of the time they're going to have you use their vendors. But if you do one of the more outdoor places that we're talking about, then you're going to have more of a choice in that. And your guest list is pretty small, so I don't think that we're going to go too big in terms of spending. And DJ or band. Okay. Yeah, DJ's fun. If you want live music for appetizers or for the actual ceremony, that is very simple and it's not very costly because you're not going to have it for a long time. So I do have a list of DJs that I will email to you once this is all done and over with. Give me like a day or so and you can start contacting them and getting a feel for who you like. I do have DJs that focus on I have a DJ that focuses on like techno, on hip hop, pop, whatever it is that you want. That's something that we can take care of. Now, a question for you, because I do have the now, question for you, because I do have your estimate of how much you'd like to spend, is how hands-on or hands-off would you like me to be throughout this process? Pretty hands-on. Yeah, so I'll never do anything that is not ran by you first. So I will always check in with you and make sure that you approve of everything. There will be nothing that you are left out of on the day of you want me coordinating. Yeah, that's something completely possible that we can do. And we'll get more into that the next time I see you, and I'll come back with swatches and colors. I'm going to email you also that, but I think you'll kind of get a better idea if I show you those swatches in person. Okay. I was gonna see if I had anything in my box right now, but I don't. So like I said, I will, now that I have these notes, I will go ahead and get everything together in a binder for our next meeting, and I think I can see you again next week in person. How does that sound? Great. Okay, well then I think we're all set. I'll email all that over to you, and then you just let me know what you think. Okay. Okay, great. It was so good talking to you again. And again, sorry this had to be through FaceTime, but we will see each other in person next time, okay?